Let me just tell you that I'm absolutely thrilled to be here with this group because what the American forces did in World War II is very close to my heart. I would not be here if it were not for the sacrifice that was made by the brave airmen who came over and participated, and the soldiers. We were very close to it. I grew up in a place called Hull, better. There, is that better? Can you hear me now? Okay. Okay, I grew up in a place called Hull. It's right out there in this map of England. You see there's a river there, there's a river Humber. Hull is a big port, and shipping for the northern Europe to all the way over to Russia. It was a prime spot. The Germans loved to come over and wreak havoc in the town. And when the war started, I was 7 years old, in 1939. We started a little bit early when Hitler decided to invade Poland. And then, of course, I was there all the way through the war. And I'm just going to look at one picture here. This was my hometown during the war. It was 90% damaged and destroyed. So we were very close to the action. Not the same as carrying a gun, but receiving the weapons of destruction. And I remember as a boy watching the bombers go out. In the morning, the 8th Air Force. In the evening, the Royal Air Force. And then in the middle of the night, I remember waking up and we'd see the planes, hear the planes coming back in one by one, sputtering and low and not organized. The formations, of course, having been torn apart. And it was a very, very memorable event because we knew what was happening. We knew what was happening to those crews. And we were, as a country and as a group of people, we were so very thankful that someone was there to help fight us, for us, and keep our freedom. So that's all I'm going to say about World War II. But, again, my thanks. Okay, this all started back in 1960. The Air Force was very interested in knowing what would happen if somebody had to bail out at very high altitude, and would they survive? What was the survivability? And so they elected to, the only way to get someone high enough at that time, they knew planes would be coming that would go up, but the only way they could get a jumper up to find out what it was like was hook them up with a balloon and take them up above the altitude that planes normally fly at. Joe Kittinger was the volunteered to do that study. And in 1960, he jumped from 102,800 feet. He did wear a spacesuit, as the spacesuits were at that time. And he did survive. He was injured on the way down. He had a drogue chute, fortunately, it opened up at 90,000 feet, which kept him from tumbling and perhaps dying from centrifugal forces. But he survived. His speed, his maximum speed was 614 miles an hour, not quite fast enough to break the sound barrier. Now that record stood for a long, long time. The Russians made a number of attempts to beat it. They lost one jumper, but never got that high. They got into the 80,000s. So there was another jumper from the United States who tried to beat that record, and he died in the attempt. So not a good history since that jump was made. Then came Felix Baumgartner. He's an Austrian guy, and he was a base jumper. And he had set a record flying across the English Channel in a wingsuit. And he was a go-go guy, wanted to break the barriers down. And he thought that setting a new record, beating Joe Kittinger's record, would be something really good to go for. Now, he's Austrian, and he worked for Red Bull. Red Bull is an Austrian company. And he talked them into sponsoring his effort to get to set a new record jump from up close to the edge of space. There were three objectives. One was, how high could he go? The second was, how fast would he fall? And the third was, what would be the total distance of his jump before he pulled his parachute? The free fall, as it's called. So here is Joe Kittinger, who decided to join the project with Felix. They were very close. In fact, Joe decided to become a mentor to Felix, and I think this would not have happened, would not have been successful without Joe's support. To get up there, a special capsule was built in Lancaster, California, just by Edwards Air Force Base. And it was decided that this would be a pressurized capsule for safety, and that it would be hoisted by a very large balloon. The program had a number of phases. There were 5 separate launches. 2 of them unmanned, testing instrumentation, and 3 of them that were manned with Felix at progressively higher altitude. And so you can see, looking at the dates, that between December of 2011 and October of 2012, we accomplished all of those objectives. One of the big problems was, how do you prove what he did? Kittinger was measured by radar with the Air Force. And we didn't have access to radar that could certify how high he was when he jumped or how fast he went. We had to use GPS. And the reason I was there was because I'm considered to be the expert in the United States on the application of GPS for this kind of stuff. So there were some problems. The Department of Defense has some restrictions on what kind of GPS you have access to. They have a restriction that says if you go above 60,000 feet and you go faster than 1,000 knots, we can't let you sell those. We won't let you make those because we were afraid that they would get out on and provide ballistic rocket capability to the North Koreans or whoever. So, however, so most manufacturers decided to just clip the GPS off of 60,000 feet. Didn't work above 60,000 feet. There was one manufacturer, Garmin, who had a device that would operate above 60,000 feet. It would just shut off if you went too fast. And we didn't intend to go that fast, so it looked like that would work. We did all this work at Roswell, New Mexico. Who ever heard of Roswell out there? Yeah. Well, if you were in the Air Force, you might have, because a big SAC Air Force base at Roswell. B-36s and B-52s were there. Those have all gone now, and it's no longer an Air Force base, but certainly has that history. I remember going to Roswell in 1953, and the B-36s were there at that time. And you can see the B-36s coming in across the town to land at the Air Force Base. And you can never miss a P-36. You always knew what it was by the sound. The Air Force used Roswell also for many balloon launches, and you may have heard of the aliens that were discovered. There's a lot of long alien history surrounding Roswell. Well, they would drop dummies from parachutes, right? And the dummies would be viewed as aliens. The word got around that these dummies were really aliens. And so when you go into town, you'll find things like this outside motels and whatever, just giving the town kind of a flavor. So also today, the air base is used as a final resting place for tired aircraft. As you can see, there are a lot of them there. There's a lot of aluminum sitting on the ground, waiting to be torn apart. It doesn't have a lot of service. There's only about 2 flights a day that come into Roswell, so it's not very busy. You don't have to worry about a lot of other traffic. Made it an ideal spot. In addition, the area around Roswell had a very, very low density of population. A lot of farms, and that was nice because you dropped something from out of space. It wasn't going to damage anything, it wasn't going to hit anyone. And the FAA was very happy to see us there and nowhere else. This is a picture of the test capsule. Okay. On the right-hand side is a pod, test pod that was filled with instrumentation. We put our GPS units in that, took the balloon, sent it up, and dropped the pod, and then took the data out of it to see what it looked like. That was very helpful in helping us to calibrate the GPS data so we knew how to interpret it. When we launched, we actually started very early. We started before midnight with a weather briefing, a lot of countdown activity. If it was a manned launch, the jumper, Felix, would start breathing pure oxygen about 4 o'clock in the morning because we wanted to get all the nitrogen out of his body. And then we put him into the capsule as soon as the balloon was ready, and if the wind had died down, we couldn't launch with any kind of a wind. And then he might have to wait there for everything to settle down for a couple of hours before the launch took place. So the staging was at night, and by the time we were ready for launch, usually it was around dawn. So we had some beautiful sunrises to work with. Now here was the launch preparation, and it may be hard to see, but I'm going to point out a few things here. This is a helium tanker. At one time, we had as much as 30% of all the helium in the United States sitting right here. Here is the capsule being held up by a crane. Between there and here is the balloon and the parachute for the capsule. It's amazing how big these balloons are. They're very, very, very large. Up here, you see balloons that are tethered. They tell us what the wind is doing. The wind on the ground and the wind at 1,000 feet can be going totally different directions and different strengths. And that can give us a lot of trouble, as I'll show you. In fact, we did lose 2 balloons in this whole process. And when you consider that a balloon costs $160,000, it's a pretty expensive experiment. Here you see the balloon being filled. Now, this is only the top of the balloon. The balloon is clamped down here. The rest of the balloon goes out towards the capsule, but you only need enough helium which will lift the capsule and carry it up. Once it's off the ground, it's going to keep on going until the balloon reaches its maximum size. It's going to keep on expanding. It gets larger and larger and larger as the air gets less and less dense, and that helium then fills the whole balloon. And I'll show you what that looks like. So here you see the balloon has been released. This is all the balloon. The balloon stretches all the way down to here. This is the beginning of the parachute for the capsule. When we get up to the highest altitude, after he jumps, the balloon is separated explosively from the parachute, and the capsule comes down under parachute. There you can see it as it's come up and it's ready to lift. It's just lifting the capsule off the truck here, and it will slowly ascend. Now, things seem to move in slow motion, but let me give you an idea. These balloons, the top of this balloon is about 600 feet off the ground. When we get to the big one, the top of the balloon will be 750 feet off the ground. So when you release the balloon, it takes almost a minute for the balloon to come up before it begins to pick up the capsule. It's just like watching something in slow motion. So dramatic. Here you can see it's just picked up the capsule from the truck, the arm of the truck. And away we go. And we disappear into the sky. It's an absolutely dramatic event to see. Now, when it gets up there, of course, it's going to be driven by the winds as it moves through the atmosphere. And what we always did before launch, we would send up a radio slant balloon so that we could get data of the atmosphere. We knew what the atmosphere was. We knew what the winds were at every altitude, so we could predict exactly where the balloon would go. It was interesting to watch. But this, I've got a trace here which I put up. This is Roswell down here. This is the launch. The green shows the ascent of the balloon that is moving to the east toward Texas. It goes out over Texas, and it keeps on going up. But as it gets up into the upper atmosphere, it turns around because the winds have shifted, and it comes back this way. And in the red, it reached maximum altitude, which we call float altitude. And then we release the capsule right here, and it comes down to Earth. So, so we have to be able to predict pretty closely where the balloon is going to go, so we can rendezvous with the capsule and with the pilot when the jumper when it's manned. This is the manned capsule. You can see the chair that is there for the jumper, and we had some real problems with the FAA because the FAA didn't have anything that described something manned going up and then coming down unmanned. What did you call it? Was it an aircraft or whatever? So what we finally concluded with the FAA was, as long as Felix was in the capsule, it was a manned aircraft. And if it's a manned aircraft, he would have to be certified, and he would have to have an N number on the capsule. So we had to put an N number on the capsule. So that held all the way up to when he left the capsule. After he leaves it, it's just simply an unmanned device. And so it falls under another category. So you call another FAA department to deal with that, that situation. The capsule was really very heavily instrumented. There were a lot of controls in there. There was oxygen bottles. It's pressurized. As he goes up, he's got his pressure suit on, but he doesn't have it pressurized. The capsule is pressurized. When he gets close to his target altitude, then he depressurizes the capsule and pressurizes his spacesuit, and then he can open up the capsule and exit it. On his chest, we have what we call a chest pack. It's an instrumentation pack, which contains a transmitter. It contains the GPS. It contains batteries for his visor, so that it doesn't clog up. It was one of the problems that we ran into. And that was attached to his chest. Now, we did it that way for a very specific reason. One of the problems that we expect that he might have is that as he comes down in very, very thin air, he is not able to stabilize his fall. So if he ever got into an uncontrolled spin, which is what could happen, then he could rotate at a very high speed. And if he did that, then he would experience centrifugal forces that could cause tremendous problems for blood flowing into the brain. And by putting the chest pack high up on his body, even if he turned around at a high speed, and I'll show you what did happen, the CG forces would be moderated, and he would be okay, and he would survive. That is, in fact, exactly what happened. Here's the balloon, the final balloon that was used for the maximum altitude. That balloon has a capacity of 30 million cubic feet. It's a polypropylene balloon, about 6 mils thick. If you laid out all the material, it would cover 40 acres. So it is a monstrous balloon. This is just showing some of the tracks that we had for different launches. And so you can see where all the launches were from here. This is Roswell. To go in any direction, we had to be prepared to go in any direction to retrieve the pilot, the jumper, or the capsule. Here is a process of laying out the balloon. The box is right there. It's being laid out on the ground, getting ready for launch. The crew that was managing the balloon launch was a very experienced Air Force crew. We borrowed a crew from the Air Force, and it was really fortunate that we had access to those people. This is mission control. We were constantly monitoring the operations on the runway, and then of course we had cameras on the capsule itself, and of course we had communications with him. This was the clamp that is used to hold the balloon down on the ground while the top of the balloon is being filled, so that it doesn't break away. There it is being filled. And now here is Felix getting ready to get in the capsule. He's in his spacesuit. He's got his chest pack here. We have five cameras on his body, go cameras, to record what happens when he jumps. There he is getting into the capsule. And And now he's waiting for the signal to release the balloon when the winds are right. Now the balloon has just been released. It is just climbing up, and there's the parachute for the capsule, and then the balloon trailing out on the ground. And is going up, and he's on his way. And as soon as he's off the ground and going up under control, I get in the recovery helicopter with a couple other gentlemen. This is a Red Bull helicopter. And we go out and we get to a designated spot and wait for him to actually jump. That's what the balloon looks like when it's at altitude. So that envelope now is totally expanded to the full size. And so people often ask me, well, why don't you fill the balloon with helium? Well, if we filled the balloon with helium as it went up, the helium would try to expand with the lower air pressure, and it would rupture the balloon. So it's a delicate operation. And these things here are actually pressure relief ducts, so that if it tries to go any higher and get any higher, it will actually, the helium will be exhausted through those ducts. It won't go any higher. And here he is, getting ready to jump. And what a tense moment that was. Here he is, ready to step off. And we didn't know what was going to happen. What would it be like to go through the sound barrier? Is it like hitting a brick wall? Will he be able to tolerate the effect of going through the sound barrier? Will he be able to control his descent? What happens if something goes wrong? He's a long, long ways up there. 25 miles is the number. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you a video. Here we go. Okay. Okay, there he goes. Now, I'm going to stop this so I can explain what's going on here. Here he is. He's going head down. He's about a 25-degree angle to the horizontal. So we've got cameras looking up. We've got cameras looking down, and we're able to see him as he comes down. And we have a clock running. And the clock just started, and when this number gets to 7 minutes and about 20 seconds, he will be going through the sound barrier.
So he jumped out of his capsule, or he's in the capsule?
He's out of the capsule. This is the capsule up here. Well, you can't see it. You can't see it now.
He opens the capsule.
He opens the capsule. We saw that picture of him standing there, and now he's in the descent phase.
And he hits the speed of sound at what time on the clock again?
About 7:20. So I'm going to start the clock again. So now Now you can see it, and you watch him. It's 34 seconds until he hits the sound barrier. He looks, he's quite stable there as it stands, but he's beginning to rotate a little bit, and now he's beginning to rotate faster. He's hit the sound barrier, he's gone through the sound barrier, and he's stabilized, and then all of a sudden he starts turning even faster. Now, okay, so he's been on dropping at about 45 seconds. When he hits 50 seconds, he'll be going at maximum speed, which will be Mach 1.25 or 844 miles an hour. And he's just about to get there. Beg your pardon?
Is that father's ears that go through the sound barrier like that?
He does not feel anything. Turns out there, now you see how fast he's turning? He is now turning, spinning at 1 revolution per second. And this is what we were worried about. And he's about to, he's just come out of supersonic mode, and very shortly after coming out of supersonic mode, he was able to get control and control his motion, and he's past the critical part. So this was the real stress point of the jump. Now I'm going to go back. I want to show you something. When you watch him come down, watch his suit, because you'll see as it's coming down, there's not a flutter in the suit. There's no air up there to speak of. There's nothing to cause his suit to vibrate. And watch and see if you can tell when he begins to get into a more dense atmosphere. You will be able to see it.
Stop that skid.
When he came out of supersonic and he got down into, you see this right here? It's now beginning to flutter. So for all that time, for 45 seconds, there was absolutely no fluttering whatsoever in his fabric. Now I'm going to stop this. And I'm going to take it on down to where I can get out here.
They had communication with him?
He was talking to mission control all the time. We could overhear it in the helicopter. Okay, now he's getting very close to where he's going to pull the chute. And if you look up here, he looks at his wrist, and on his wrist he has strapped an altimeter. So he's checking his altitude as he comes down, and you'll see him do that a number of times. We're in the helicopter. We're not very far away, and we don't have him in sight yet, but we're very close. So there he goes. He keeps looking at it, and his free fall lasted for 4 minutes and 19 seconds. In 4 minutes and 19 seconds, he fell through 119,000 feet.
Yes, really, you said he was checking his altimeter.
Yes.
How did he set his altimeter when he jumped out when there's no atmosphere?
He didn't. It's strictly a pressure-sensitive device.
But it had to start at some point.
Yes, well, it starts recording it as soon as it begins to sense pressure, yes.
Okay,
As soon as it begins to sense pressure.
okay.
Yeah, so you could take any altimeter and set it at 29.9 and jump, and it would work perfectly.
Okay.
How fast was he going when he fell?
At that point in time, he would be, I'd have to look, he would be doing probably 120 miles, 120 miles, 140 miles an hour. So there he's pulled the chute, he's coming down, and as he's coming down, I'm going to advance this, we'll pick up helicopters on the horizon.
And what altitude did he pop the chute? What was the altitude, do you remember?
It's about 3,000 feet.
Okay,
And the ground level was about 4,000, so
okay.
we got a good margin. Now he's coming down, and we have him in sight now in the helicopter, and I have a smoke bomb with me, and what I'm going to do is there's a road down here, he's going to come in right by the road. We're going to come right down in the helicopter, and I'm going to drop a smoke bomb so that he can see what the wind direction is when he is close to the ground, so he knows how to come into the wind, which he has to do.
Oh.
There's a helicopter right there. So the total flight from the time that he jumped until the time he touched down on the ground was just over 9 minutes, 9 minutes and 20 seconds. So he was actually it took him longer under parachute to get down than it did in the pre-fall, even though there was a substantial difference in what he had to cover.
How long did it take him to get up to altitude?
About 2.5 hours. So the whole flight from beginning to end was just over 3 hours. By the time we got back to home base. You'll probably see the smoke from the smoke bomb down here. Yeah, I can see his shadow right there. There's the smoke bomb. So he's going to come right into that into the smoke. There you can see him. There's his shadow. Bingo. So we drop the helicopter down and then immediately go to give him whatever assistance we can. He's in good shape, he's in good spirits, and of course what I'm there for, and if you can see who I am, this picture was broadcast over international TV. I think the whole world saw this moment. And I'm interested in getting my hands on that box with the data in it. So you can see it here. And because I have to be able to prove that there was never an opportunity to tamper with it. That data is pure because that's what will be submitted as a verification of the record.
What do you do?
Now we're back in the helicopter. We're taking him back to home base. There's mission control right there. And as soon as we land, I've got that box in my hand that I'm going to go in to mission control, sit down in my chair, and I'm going to start analyzing the data. Now, one of the problems we always get into with these records is, consider we had about 150 news people, camera people there for this event. They're all trying to figure out what really happened. How fast did he go? Where did he land? What was the altitude? How far did he jump? And getting control over that data is critical, because all of a sudden you find 6 different stories about how fast he went, and what was the real number, and so on and so on. So I talked to the Red Bull marketing team. I said, look, the way we control this is nobody gives a number, ever, until I'm ready. That way, there's only one source for the data. Call a press meeting 45 minutes after I get in there. Give me enough time that I can get a quick look at the data, and I know very, very closely what he really did. That's exactly what we did. And here was the press conference. And here's Felix. There's Joe. This is Felix's bodyguard, if you will. This is the guy who built the capsule. And of course, there's me. And this was broadcast worldwide. And I get up and I announce what the numbers are. Here's just a chart. I go one chart, Lou. I'm sorry about this. Lou said, oh, don't put any of that technical stuff up there. But I want you to see this. This is his descent profile. This is his maximum rate of descent, and then this is as he starts to slow down. This is the point at which he hit the sound barrier. That was 34 seconds into the flight. This is 50 seconds. That's where he stopped accelerating and started to slow down. And this is where he became subsonic and dropped below the Mach 1. And one of the questions that I got asked one time by a reporter, if you look at this, what did it feel like to him? How much pressure did he feel on his body? And so I did some analysis, and if you think about a parachute jumper, normal parachute jumpers, before they pull the chute, will hit a terminal velocity of about 120 miles an hour. It can be anywhere between 110, 120, 130 miles an hour. Well, so I told this reporter, I said, if he carried with him an airspeed indicator, because an airspeed indicator is a pressure device. It measures how much pressure you're feeling and from how fast you're going. If he was carrying an airspeed indicator, he hit his maximum pressure right about this point, right here, and that would be equivalent of 146 miles an hour. That was the amount of pressure that he was feeling on his body. And it was it was a very interesting question, because I never put it in that context before, but I'm glad he posted it for me. So, what did we prove? We proved that you could survive. It was witnessed by the largest live audience ever. 150 countries, about 3 billion viewers, 8 million YouTube viewers simultaneously. So, do you think that Red Bull got their money back out of this? I don't know how much Red Bull spent, but the rumor is that it would probably cost them somewhere around $33–35 billion. If you think how much it cost for 30 seconds on the Super Bowl, I say they did pretty darn well. And interestingly, this has been now over 3 years since the jump. I can just about go anywhere. I can get on a plane and sit next to someone, we can chat. I go, well, did you ever see that guy jump from outer space? Oh, yes, I was watching it on television. It's hard to find someone who has not heard of, not seen, and what knows a little bit about what happened. So yes, I think Red Bull came out ahead in this whole game.
Brian, you want to mention that during the descent, when he exceeded the speed of sound, he actually created a sonic boom on the ground.
That's true, he did. We had the teeth on the ground, and they did hear a sonic boom. Now, I watched this video, of course, many times, and I think I can pick out exactly when he hit the supersonic barrier. And there's a slight oscillation in his body, very slight, but I think, to me, it's noticeable, right at that 34-second point. But if you ask him, did he feel it? And the answer is no, he didn't feel it. But there was a sonic boom, and it was heard on the ground in the local vicinity. So, 127,850 feet, 119,000 free fall, and 843.6.
Did the spacesuit get hot when they dropped that fast?
Beg pardon?
Did the spacesuit get hot when they
No.
dropped that fast?
No, not at all. Not at all. There was no friction there.
What was the maximum indicated there?
146 miles an hour. Yeah. 146 miles an hour is maximum friction level. And so they're really, it was almost a non-event.
Mr. Utley,
Yes.
why the difference between the highest exit altitude and the vertical distance of free fall? There's an 8,000-foot difference there. Why that difference?
Because the end of the free fall is when he pulled his parachute.
Oh, okay.
So that terminates the free fall, and that is an official criteria.
Okay.
Did you record what the temperature was when he left the capsule?
Yes.
What was that?
I don't, off the top of my head, I don't recall, but it would probably be in the range of minus 50 degrees C.
Minus 50.
Yeah. You know, the temperature is very interesting to look at through the atmosphere because normally the temperature gets cooler as you go up to about 36,000 feet. Above 36,000 feet to 62,000 feet, it goes isothermal, that is, it doesn't change very much. And above 62,000 feet, it starts to get warmer again because you're in the ionosphere. And the effect of the sun's rays on the ionosphere causing oscillations causes some heating. So it actually does get warmer above 62,000 feet. And that is, by the way, what determines the Mach number is. Mach number is driven entirely by temperature. So people think it must have something to do with pressure. No, it's not pressure dependent. It's temperature dependent. And if I took you back to this chart right here, you will see that this is where he would hit Mach 1. This is where he came out of Mach 1, and it's at a different altitude level. But this is really talking about altitude, and the reason was because of temperature differential in the atmosphere. Yes.
What happens to this capsule? Is that under control?
The capsule is released from the balloon explosively, comes down in the parachute, and then it's recovered by a team on the ground. And the balloon is blown up. It's actually shredded, and then it will collapse and fall, and then we recover the balloon as well, because you can't let that much stuff just float around on the ground. People would get very upset. We have the EPA afterwards. Okay, so that's the story, and Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your questions. Did you have any other questions?
Like 3 years of charter by that time.
Thank you, Lou. I can't wait to read them. It's a pleasure.
That's pretty good, huh?
Yeah, very interesting.
Well, as the air density increases, the Utley slows down. And in fact, if I can answer that question, what is happening here? This blue line right here, who's going to get mad at me because they're going to talk about it? I'll tell you what it is. This terminal velocity sea level is 120 miles an hour.
Okay. She'll be here
This is
soon.
that terminal velocity line correct for density. So as soon as he hits this point right here, he stops accelerating because his drag now is greater than gravity.
Okay.
And he begins to slow down, and this line will converge on this theoretical line as the density goes up. The air density goes going down, the density goes up, and he's slowing down and slowing down. He will eventually slow down to 120 miles an hour. Now it's your turn. Or he stops spinning. He stops spinning at 74 seconds into the flight. And so that was way before.
He couldn't affect that one way or another.
Not until it got more grip on the atmosphere.
Now, Brian mentioned that he didn't feel anything when he exceeded the speed of sound. I just want to mention the flying F-100s. When he exceeded the speed of sound, the only way you know it was with indicators. You felt nothing at all.
Same thing in the Concorde.